Hello and welcome to the Invincible podcast, probably the best superhero podcast in the universe. This is a show where friends talk all things Invincible, a comic book and animated series created by Robert Kirkman, Corey Walker, and Ryan Ottley. On this episode, we're talking all about our latest convention experiences and the latest Invincible news to come out of it. We've got a ton of stuff to talk about, as well as a new issue spotlight by a guest this time. I am your host, Ryan, and joining me are my co host, TJ.
Oh, hello, it's TJ. Without my
and,
glasses, without my glasses.
and Bill.
Hi, everybody. I was going to say, put your glasses back on. That was weird.
Wow. I never record with my glasses because it always like shines. You could see like my background, But I'm making it work today. Making it work.
Yeah.
And it's Wyatt Layne.
And Wyatt Layne.
And it's me. Hey, guys.
What's up? Back together again. It's been so long.
It has.
Oh,
I feel like we say that every time, but it does feel like it's been at least like a month since we've recorded an episode of the podcast.
Has it been over a month?
It's been over a month.
Probably. Yeah.
Did we have we had like, we've put out like fun things like the board game and things like that, but was our last episode Yoshi?
Yeah.
Our interview with Yoshi? Dude, that we recorded that in May. It has been a while.
Right. It's been June. It's been since June.
There's had to have been one in between.
However, every episode, probably the last 5 episodes, we do spend at least 5 to 10 minutes talking about how it's been a very long time since we've.
Yeah, that is true.
We've recorded.
Oh no, we ranked our favorite episodes.
Oh, that's right.
That was our last one. That was our last one.
That was a good episode.
But it's been so long that we forgot about it.
And we even talked about what a good episode that was.
Yeah. Well, welcome back, everybody, and welcome to any new listeners that might be listening. And a reminder for any new listeners, we do touch a little bit on spoilers in the comic books, especially when we get to our issue spotlight at the end of the episode here. But we're going to be talking a little bit about what we expect in season 3 and some of the news that has come out of San Diego and everything. So we're going to be touching a little bit on season 3. So be aware that there's some light spoilers potentially and some big spoilers when we get to the end of the episode for the comic book. We've got an episode here that I think we're going to mostly just be going over kind of what's been happening. Usually we'll have a main topic on the episode, like ranking our favorite issues or episodes or things. But this one's mostly just going to be a chat about what's been going on lately, all the summer conventions that's been happening. Both me, Wyatt, and TJ have been going to some places and doing some things. And there's been some announcements that we're going to get to talk about. So we're going to jump right into it, I think. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. First up, and we're going to go in chronological order. It just makes it easier for compiling the notes and kind of like remembering everything. First up, Invincible has its first Emmy nomination with Sterling K. Brown being nominated for voiceover.
Very cool news.
How awesome is that, right? And such a great character, and such a great role.
Yeah.
I think it's very awesome, but I think I don't know. I think it's weird that like he got a nomination, but like J.K. Simmons didn't, or Stephen Young. I feel like
Sandra Oh.
Sandra Oh. Like I feel like everybody that's like has a major role that has had a moment deserves an Emmy nod.
Yeah, I can't say I was more impressed with Sterling K. Brown than anyone else this season. Like I feel like he had done just as good a job as some of the other characters. Like Bill. So it is interesting that he got it, but I mean, hell yeah, right?
Yeah. If nothing else, it just makes me excited to see that like the Emmys as an organization is like looking at Invincible and seeing and not writing it off because it's a superhero thing or because it's animated, like, and really recognizing that like regardless of whether or not it's just the fans that are excited about this show, they're bringing like incredible performances from this cast.
Yeah. And the Emmys are on September 15th. So on September 15th, we'll find out whether or not Invincible has won an Emmy.
That would be awesome.
Sterling K. Brown, of course.
Yeah.
Then shortly after our last episode, I flew down and over to California to visit with Kyle Higgins and help him out with a few things, as well as meet up with Wyatt, who drove down, and we got to hang out a bit in sunny LA. Got to go for the first time. Got to tour around a little bit, do some sightseeing. We had a really good time. One of the places we got to stop at, of course, which was like very high on my list, was Skybound. So we got to meet up and go visit Skybound. And throughout this episode, if you're watching the episode on YouTube, there'll be images. I'll be throwing some images up in here.
Yeah.
Go check out the YouTube version of this. So yeah, we got to visit Skybound. Ben over at Skybound got to walk us around a bit, show us the whole studio space, and this is a space that I've seen photos of and heard about for years now. Anytime people go and visit there, you've got the walker under the stairs and all
Yeah.
the different artwork on the walls and the different merch
So
everywhere.
you got a tour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you
Mhm.
part of like a group that like
Oh no,
was this
this was
scheduled,
very
or
much
did you call and were you like, hey?
no. This
We
was very
They
much a
called in an
off.
Invincible
Yeah.
podcast
Yeah.
favor.
Of
Yeah.
course.
They rolled out the yellow and blue carpet for us.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
it was a whole big thing.
No, so turns out not too long ago they split the Skybound studio into two, and there's a second studio that takes the brunt of a lot of the Invincible and animation stuff. We visited the original office, which still has a good amount of work done at it, but it was definitely quieter, or
Yeah.
seemed pretty quiet. But it was still cool to go see the space, see all the cool merch and everything they had around. One of my favorite sections was a whole bookshelf of just tons and tons of Skybound books, but they were all the foreign versions. So
Yeah,
they'd
that's
be
what I
all
was gonna
these
bring up. Yeah,
really
that was what I
cool.
was gonna bring up because you guys have talked about like the stuff that the Italian versions that come out, or like the Italian like the covers book and all of
Yeah.
that. And so to see a lot of that stuff, one of them wasn't it like it was like a Japanese version of the Rise of the Governor book, which
Yeah.
I had like totally forgotten about that book. I remember reading it now, like, but it
great
was
book.
tons of cool little stuff like
Mhm.
that, and just seeing all of the artwork and stuff that they had on the walls, different memorabilia. It was like I didn't know about the walker under the stairs, and it kind of spooked me at
Really?
first when I saw it, 'cause it was like right behind me. I turned around. There's another point we're walking, and there's just like a bloody axe on the wall that's from the game that was supposed to be like Lee's axe from
Yep.
the Walking Dead game. Yeah, very cool stuff. It was super cool to get to see that office.
Yeah. Yep. Very
Um, One thing cool that like while you guys were in California together, Bill and I were here in Buffalo, just like having the most incredible time. It was like
Probably the
it was
funnest
like
time that I've ever
it
had, and I've
was
lived here my whole
we
life.
we bonded and we made so many memories. We wish you guys could have been here to
Yeah.
experience it with us, but you missed it. I
Well,
mean,
you know
Yeah.
what?
sorry.
It's rough.
The next time when we go to the Invincible, focused studio, we'll make sure we're all there.
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, that was great. And then you know, getting to hang out there, and then after that I went down to San Diego with Kyle to help out, with the Massiverse panel and the booth and everything like that. And it was cool. One of the things I wanted to bring up and show a photo of here is the Image Comics booth had that massive, uh,
Yeah.
you know, wall art, or I guess you'd call it just the booth art. Above the booth was all of the small trades of Invincible, all the artwork
Yeah.
from those in a whole collage collection. And looks really, really cool. So we got to see a lot of the new artwork for the
Yeah.
upcoming small versions of the what are they called? The
I'm blanking on the
Trade
name too.
paperback.
No, there's like a specific name for them. I'd have to look it up. I
yeah,
can't remember.
those new paperback versions.
Mhm.
They're like the manga sized ones. And
Yep.
so yeah,
There's
got to
so
see.
much. They're so like comfortable to read. I'm trying to collect all of those too.
Yeah, those are great. But yeah, I got to see like Anissa and Dinosaurus and a bunch of
Yeah.
new art for those covers, those upcoming covers.
That was a fun way to like see that too, because typically like in some panels before they've said like, oh, we're going to reveal the next few covers or whatever, and this wasn't like announced like it was news. But the minute that we started seeing pictures of the image booth, I was immediately like, some of those have not been announced and we haven't seen those, so it's cool to like kind of pour through it and pick out the ones that we already knew about and see some of the new ones.
Yeah, I want to say we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There's 19 on that, which there should be 24. So,
Hmm.
we got 5 more to
More to
be
come.
revealed, you'd think, or 5 that aren't included on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because assuming there's going to be the same number of trades. So the Dinosaurus one looks pretty sweet. The Battle Beast one, yeah, they look great. So very, very cool. And of
So
course, getting a pretty cool presence.
while you were there too, you sent us some pictures of some cool cosplays.
Yep.
One of which was, I think, all of ours favorite was it the first Debbie we've ever seen?
dude.
That
Yeah,
was so awesome.
That was
my
God.
awesome. It's
Yeah.
so
with
good.
a purple Oliver
Yep.
baby.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
god,
cool.
it was insane. That was I had to run up and take a photo with them. They were actually there right near Omni Man. Shoot, Bill. Bill, who always cosplays as Omni
Cosplays.
Man.
Mhm.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
A photo with him again. That was crazy. I've never, and this keeps surprising me. Things keep surprising us. As Invincible becomes more and more popular.
Yeah.
Never would have thought a Debbie cosplay with a baby Oliver. And there will never be a point in which that is more like perfect time wise. Like
Yeah.
we'll never
Yeah.
like, ah, so great.
I know. I remember seeing the picture too, and there's a split second of like, did they paint a baby purple? But it was a doll. But for a second, I was like,
It
man,
looked good,
that's
though.
commitment
Yeah.
to a cosplay. You
Yep.
just paint your kid purple.
Yep. Ryan Ottley was there, which is great to always chat with him and catch up. He was selling his new art book, with which I got a copy of, and I know TJ grabbed you a copy as well.
Mhm.
Violence and Pogo Sticks. Um, Tons of it is Invincible. Tons of it is a lot of his Invincible variants and covers and sketches and everything like that.
Cool.
So I'd say the majority of it is Invincible, which is of course awesome. Um, what else? He also had the new cover, the Adam Eve and Mark cover.
Super cool.
So grabbed a copy of that. Um, some of the other things. So Skybound had a couple items that they were announcing as merchandise through for like kind of celebrating San Diego Comic Con, but Skybound themselves didn't have a presence there. So they sold these items online. Mine just arrived a couple days ago. I don't know if you guys got anything, but they had the new pin set.
Mhm.
New lanyard in
Lanyard.
there too, right?
Yeah,
Nice.
with a
That's
cool
cool.
box. Matches the other one. And
Yeah.
inside, of course, we've got new pins as well as a bloody version of the lanyard, a black and red one, and the other side being the part two
Yeah.
cover of Mark. So yeah,
Yeah.
that came in, as well as now Jason Edmiston, the artist who does the Eyes Without a Face artwork. I've noticed his stuff at conventions before, but had never gotten anything. And friend of the show, Mike Barrett, is actually really into his art and has a huge collection of his artwork. So I picked up, I have it in the box, but I'm not going to grab it now. But I picked up his art book, which I flipped through and is so great. It's really, really nice. His art book was awesome. But what you can get through Skybound was the prints for his Invincible set. So you have these here:
Yeah. Those are
Invincible,
awesome.
Adam Eve, Omni Man, and of course Battle Beast. And these are all
And
numbered, and there was a chance that the Invincible one arrives because they're all, mine all say 10 out of 200. The Invincible is 10 out of 150 because 50 of these are a cracked goggle with a bloody,
Ooh, cool.
and that one is limited. So mine did not come in as the bloody version.
friend of the show, Mike Barrett, who you said has a whole collection of this guy's art. And then obviously Mike is a huge Invincible fan. So, and he's also a very big fan of just original art. He was able to obtain the original art
Man.
for those pieces.
Wow.
Yeah, they're
Like-
wooden blocks.
Yeah, and it looks
How?
awesome.
How does he do
Really,
this
really
stuff?
Dude,
How does he do this stuff?
they look great. They look so good. And
That's awesome.
one of the things is this Jason Edmiston that does these artworks, and they're always to scale. So like he did Jaws, the shark, and so it's like this massive painting. He's done like recently did Godzilla from -1, and he's done like Lego characters from like the
Oh,
Lego
that's
movie.
cool.
So they're on like these tiny wooden blocks. That big. It's so brilliant. It's such a cool,
That is cool.
thing. I'll have to show you the art book next time you guys come
So
over.
if you hold those up to your face, it would look to scale.
Yeah, it's supposed to. Mike did pictures too.
So
You
like
can
I don't
find
know
on
if
his Twitter.
I can't see, but yeah.
Yeah,
A little bit
Pretty
higher.
much.
A little bit higher.
I'm trying to line it
A
up
little
with
bit
my noses.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's-
you have a small
There's
head,
a lot of
Ryan,
white
like,
space. I'll post a picture on here of Mike holding the block up because it looks good.
Yeah, it's perfect. Oh.
So that was one of the coolest things, being able to get the art book. And then the prints, of course, arrived in the mail after the fact. But getting to meet Jason Edmiston, and the Jason Edmiston art book came with a Michael Keaton Batman one. So
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Super cool.
there was also a couple other things. I know there was a Battle Beast pin that Skybound was offering, a new pin, and an Adam Eve like collection box of various Adam Eve merch. Other than that, I got to host the Massiverse panel, which of course is always a good time and always stresses me out right beforehand. But like literally, I was off the panel, like off the stage, like back there, kind of like behind the curtain, getting ready, and the previous panel was still going on. So I'm just standing there watching Todd McFarlane talk, like, okay, I'm going up after him. Like that was pretty cool, and it was also the
know.
same room, same stage that the day before had our uh, kind of funny, the podcast we listen to all the time. Nick
Nice.
Scarpino hosted on that, and he brought out Jim Lee. And then the next day was Robert Kirkman on the same stage in the same room. It just happened to be the room that everything was happening in, so that was
Yeah.
kind of cool. And of course, got my my tag this time that actually has my name on it because last year it didn't. They got it wrong. They thought I was Ryan Parrott. So yeah, after that I had a run to the Prime Video panel. So this was the only panel other than the conversation with Robert Kirkman that we had talked about, potentially giving us some Invincible news. So ran there, sat down, got to meet up with Antonio, a listener of the show, and got to meet him, and hang out a couple times, and sat down. And this was a panel that was all about adult animation on Prime Video. So it was, the Sausage Party stuff, the Has Been Hotel, Invincible, and Vox Machina, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
Great
So
show.
it was cool. Great panel too. All there's Robert Kirkman was up there with some really great people, and they announced. So first we got the teaser image. So here we go. We've got the black and blue. So
We
Ooh,
made
make it like-
predictions. We made predictions before San Diego, and I don't think any of us really expected to get anything. I think my prediction was that we would get like maybe one or two voice actor announcements,
Yeah.
but that
Yeah.
was it. I mean, we didn't get much, but this was more than I thought we were going to get. An
Oh,
image
yeah.
from season 3. Not from season 3, but like a promo picture, like him in the blue suit. That's crazy that we got
Yeah.
that. I was really, really surprised. So
it's a lot less
what-
than what I thought we were
it's-
gonna get. But
it's
I'm
funny.
still happy with it.
it's
I'm
funny
still
because
happy
like
with it.
it's funny because like Ryan, you were at the panel, you were there experiencing it live, but Wyatt was the one to see it online first and put it in our group chat, and I was like,
I
oh,
couldn't
shit.
remember if Ryan had sent it to us or not, but yeah, I remember seeing it. And
probably
same thing
tweeted it beforehand.
as what you were saying is that we didn't really, at least I didn't have high expectations of what we were going to get. So I wasn't even really paying attention to when the panel was happening because I'm at home. It was like
Right.
Saturday, I think.
Yeah.
And for some reason was online and saw that and like freaked out that like, oh my God, I
This
was
is
not
happening?
expecting to see the blue suit. Like it was so
Yeah.
cool. It
I
was such
had-
a surprise, I think, because my expectations were set that we're not getting anything until like New York Comic Con. That it was so cool to see.
I had zero service in there, and a lot of my texts were just like the red exclamation point, like they weren't going through. So that's why
Yeah.
you guys were getting things from me delayed. But yeah.
It's funny too because I like when I saw the promo, my stomach dropped because I'm like, oh shit, we're going to get a trailer like any minute. They're going to release a trailer like here at San Diego Comic Con, but we didn't get it, which I'm okay with because again, my expectations were set for like February, March. So, and I think we'll talk about it, but I think that's still accurate.
So the suit looks great. It looks awesome. But it wasn't until like, because I'm focusing on the suit and I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. I want a poster of this to match the other one, to have them side by side. And it wasn't until I forgot who it was online. It might have been Invincible out of context. But then it was like, lightning around him, like
Mhm.
electricity. And it was like, this is Powerplex. Like, come on, we get Powerplex in the reveal of the blue suit. This is it's
Yeah.
so perfect. It's so perfect. Like, I
I
love
hope
that.
I think it would be cool to make Powerplex give him a bigger role in the animated series. Have him come
Dude, he's
back more
gonna be
often, maybe not just like one episode, but like
yeah, but it's got to be at minimum a Titan episode, right? Like that's what they did for Titan.
Yeah,
What they did for
I think
Titan in
so.
the show is
yes,
what they
Oh,
did
okay,
for
that's right.
100% is
Yes,
he's
it's
gonna
got to
have
be
his own
in his
episode.
perspective. Yes.
Oh,
100%.
oh, even if
Yeah.
it's not the whole thing.
100%.
Come on.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be even more than what we got last time.
Yeah.
We're really gonna side with Powerplex on this. We're
Ooh.
gonna be like, oh wow.
This guy's yeah. Oh, can't wait.
So cool.
That's super exciting. They also announced season 4 is officially greenlit. Season 4 is in production. We're good. They're working on season 4. Hell yeah.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is like a weight lifted off my shoulders where I'm like, okay, no matter even how season 3 ends, we still have season 4 coming to like really get to. So if we don't get to certain things in season 3 that we're hoping to get to, knowing that season 4 is on the way, knowing that they can start working on season 4 now so that they can keep this cadence of hopefully yearly releases and never having it be like how Kirkman has said, how their goal is to never have it be like in between season 1 and 2. So having that one announced, and hopefully like if season 3 does well, it's getting good ratings and it's the hype is still there, then they announce season 5, that'll be renewed so they can keep that pace.
It's funny too because toward the end, as the finale was coming out, I remember we were talking like, oh, they still haven't renewed it for season 4, and we kept talking about it. But then when it actually did get renewed for season 4 at San Diego, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot it didn't. It just was never a worry really in my mind because I knew how well it was doing. Like it was, I never really worried about it, but when it happened, I was like, oh shit.
I feel like in my mind, it wasn't so much that I was worried it wasn't going to get season 4. It was that the longer they take, the more the gap's going to be. And that's what we don't want. We want them to be able to keep working on this stuff so that they can keep,
And I think they renewed and announced the renewal of season 4 specifically because of what's going to be happening in season 4. They can't fucking end it season 3 when season 4 is most likely Conquest.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to put it in here. We've got, some great cosplay, Invincible cosplay at this panel, by the way.
Yeah, TJ.
There's some good ones there. I do want to call out the interviews that happened around this time. There was a video interview with Variety that went up with Robert Kirkman. That was great. So search for the Variety San Diego Comic-Con Robert Kirkman interview. He talks about how because the interviewer asked if this was like the penultimate season or something. Are we nearing the end? And Rob Kirkman's like, no, not even close. Like, this is a show that builds. He also mentions that season 4 dwarfs season 3, and that all begins with season 3. Like, it is just escalation. He talks about how great Steven Yeun has been and how he is like very subtly aging Mark up, to sound very different from what he is in season 1.
There was not. So while you're still on that topic, I want to touch on. There was another interview that he had done a while back, like before this one, where he made mention, he was comparing the seasons, and he said that unfortunately, when season 2 and 3, when season 2 and 3 were both renewed like together, they did them both back to back. And then season 2 came out. Season 3 is so far along. He's like that unfortunately we're not able to learn from some of the like mistakes or learn from what we did in season 2. But we will for season 3, but we will for season 4. And TJ, Ryan and I were talking about it. Like, what could they have learned from in season 2?
So I wish I could find the quote, TJ, because you and I were together when we saw this quote, and it was something along the lines. It wasn't really mistakes; it was more like feedback. I think was what he said. We couldn't learn from the feedback because season 3 is already too far along. So the feedback about season 2, we can't do anything about that for season 3, but we'll learn from that for season 4.
Honestly, I almost
TJ, like, what is that?
I almost wonder if it is less about the actual like content of the show and more about the production and release of the show. Like the only real big complaints that I've seen of season 2 are that people hated the gap. Like people hated
Right.
the
But that is
4
But
episodes and then
but
a
they
gap.
said that's fixed. That's not
right.
happening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what are they saying that they unfortunately for season 3 we weren't able because we did it so quick we didn't have the time to learn from season 2, meaning that it's too far along for them to fix it. We know that they're not going to do a gap for season 3. So what is he talking about?
Yeah. We
Yeah.
brainstormed this for a while and couldn't come up with anything. Like we don't quite know. It's like I'm not
I
sure
mean,
what
you'd
to
have to
think.
go back and look at like criticisms of season 2, and one of the few that I've seen was that it seemed less like a linear story.
Yep.
Like there wasn't like a, Omni-Man is bad and Mark's gonna find out storyline from the first one. It was very much, but that's how the comic is
Yes.
too. Like we
Right.
talked about that as well, but that was like a major criticism. So maybe they're gonna try to instill, like they're always gonna instill like
Through line.
a through line
You're
going
right, Bill.
through
I bet that's it.
regularly.
I bet that's it. Because I could
Yeah.
see 3 being like 2 was, where it's a lot of things
Or
coming
Oh,
together
yeah.
with something that
Oh, yeah.
4 is going to be like, now we're in this, maybe, which again is
Right.
what the comic does.
Yeah.
So
I could even see it being like a thing to do with just like even the detail in the animation or the animation style. You know what I mean? Because that type of stuff would be pretty far along for season 3 by now, where they can't like go back to the drawing board and decide like, oh, for these specific scenes we want this slightly higher level of detail or whatever.
That I feel
it
like,
may be like that.
That I feel like is something that they themselves even knew about. You know what I mean? After season
Sure.
1, like they talked about they wanted less CGI and
it
Yeah.
could be
and
different.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think it could be even like things like that are more in the weeds of the animation that we don't even necessarily notice, but is more like technical stuff.
Yeah. Also in that Variety interview, he does mention, like, because the interviewer asked, "Who else are we going to see? Any new characters?" He's like, "Well, I think it's already out there that Titan and Battle Beast will be returning." And I was like, "Yeah, that was us."
Nope. No, he
That was
didn't.
us.
No, he didn't.
How did he say it then?
He said, I think he screwed up. So we'll go back. But he says, it's already been out there. The 2 characters are coming back. Titan and Machine Head, they'll be coming back. And I'm
Oh,
like,
no, he said Battle
I'm
Beast.
sure.
We'll go back and listen. Either way,
Because when he said it, I'm like, I think he meant Battle
Really?
Beast. Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, that was us. That was a Invincible podcast exclusive.
I also really liked how he brought up at the end that Invincible was like the first show that his kids like and watch because they're at the age finally of his content. They're like 18, 17 or something, and they're actually enjoying Invincible, and he's like showing them stuff early and everything. So that was pretty neat.
That is cool.
There was another interview from just the roundtable interviews that happened. This one was through the direct.
I got to step away for a second.
Go ahead, TJ. That said, we just announced that that we picked up season 4 here at the convention. We just aired season 2, so hopefully that shows that there's a commitment to try and get the show out faster, and the gap between 2 and 3 will be far shorter than between 1 and 2. And very soon, I won't have to dance around this question because we will have announced the release date. If only there were other big conventions happening at some point. So I think it's pretty safe to say New York Comic Con is going to be the announcement.
Mark your calendars. That is when.
And didn't he say too that we'll know in 2024 when season 3?
Yeah,
not for nothing, but New York City Comic Con is in October, and they release a trailer with a release date of November or December of 2024. It can still come out in 2024. No, dude, I'm holding on hope. Nope. That is a typical Robert Kirkman.
You nailed season 1. You'll always have that.
Yeah.
Like
I'm gonna do it again.
Well, because this is I feel like New York Comic Con will be for season 3 like last year's San Diego Comic Con was for season 2, and that was July, and then it didn't come out until November.
Yep.
So there's
but everything's moving faster. He said it himself.
I agree. Anything's possible. Yeah, but I'm still
4 to 5 months before things. They put us around that mark.
And in one of the interviews, he said that like by the end of 2020 of 2024, you will know when season 3 is coming out.
Yeah.
He's not saying by the end of 2024.
Season 3. I think they're gonna do another. I think they're gonna map it out exactly how they did with season 2, with way less of a mid-season break. I think they're gonna do December, like the beginning of December. And then
Take
at
2 weeks
the
off
end
for
of December,
Christmas.
they're going to do 2 weeks off for Christmas and New Year's, and then come back in January and finish up in.
I'll be very happy to be wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
So TJ, Robert Kirkman basically confirms that like it's there will be a date announcement at New York Comic Con. Like New York
Yes.
Comic Con is
So
going to be the point.
you may have talked about this, but because I missed it, I had to step away. But season 1 was announced. They announced the date and the first trailer at New York Comic Con, and then the release date I believe was March 26th. So I'm thinking it's going to be similar.
We're thinking it's going to be similar to that, except for Bill.
Yeah.
We're thinking that's a broad.
Except for Bill. I said except for Bill.
That doesn't count as we.
Yeah.
He and Wyatt seem to think.
Wyatt.
Multiple people can be referred to as we, you know?
No. I can't wait. I can't wait for you guys to be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm always wrong, and I'm used to it. So I'll
take
the egg's on my face already. But
There
TJ,
was a time.
I said that they're gonna announce it because Kirkman plays games with us all the time. That they're gonna announce the release date in October with the trailer, and it's still gonna release in December.
So there was a time.
It's not November. It's not gonna be November.
Where I was thinking and speculating that it may be like New Year's Day, that type of thing, which I don't think is crazy to think about because season one, like we haven't seen anything. Invincible was announced at New York Comic Con and then came out end of March. But Invincible is an established show now, so maybe they don't need that long to, before the announcement. So I can see it being, it's 1,000% going to be 2025. It's not even a question. But I would
stop putting that out there. Listen, stop. Don't you know how the universe works? This is why we never get what we want, TJ, because of you, the pessimist.
Says the guy who nailed the date the first time.
And that's why I'm right.
Wyatt, can you read our email?
Yeah, we've got an email from Sam. It says, "Hello, the Invincible podcast. Sam here. First, I want to start by saying I loved your conversation with Yoshi Vu. Anytime we can hear about the behind the scenes of the show, it's a real treat. Very cool to see the season 3 poster with Powerplex. That episode is going to shock so many viewers."
Oh, snap.
You're a silly goose.
You know what? I wouldn't expect anything less than Sam Raimi. He's an excellent writer, so the puns are on point, Sam.
I forgot that was a thing, Bill.
Blue Suit Era is probably the most iconic moments from the series, so the fact that we are here is so damn exciting. I'm sure you've mentioned it, but the new gloves are a strange decision for me personally. I'm fine keeping fingerless, but breaking up the colors from the black to blue to black seems a bit too busy for me. I'll have to see it in motion to fully see how I feel, though. Lastly, the season 4 confirmation is amazing, meaning we will get Invincible War / Dinosaurus for sure. Also, I personally think that season 5 was also greenlit, like that leak said a few months ago, but they won't announce that until after season 3 finishes to generate more hype. Thoughts? ? Keep up the great content, Sam.
I agree.
I mean,
I think the shit's
About
greenlit
season
all the
5?
way to like 6 or 7.
I think that Robert Kirkman, Simon, they've mapped out almost all of it past season 5.
Yeah.
But I do not think that season 5 is greenlit. Only
don't
because
I don't think
that,
in any official capacity.
Yeah,
is it greenlit.
we knew just from friends that there were artists not working. Season 4 was not greenlit until recently. Like they were not working on it. Like officially, so I doubt that season 5 is also greenlit. If they can wait, I think Amazon waits. They don't give that away until they absolutely have to, which like we saw with season 4, I think they were running up against that point where it's like, we need to do this so there's no break.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just my opinion. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah. Jumping back to what he said about the suit, though, because we do have the blue suit, and yeah, we should talk a little bit about, because I don't know if we've talked at all via text or anything about like what your guys' thoughts are on the changes from the comic, because it is that the blue suit now has the fingerless gloves, which it didn't in the comics, and it does have the gloves are slightly different, like Sam's saying here, where it kind of goes from black to blue to black. And then I think there's the little detail of like a line coming up from the goggles a little bit on the mask, I want to
Yeah,
say.
I don't know if
Um,
that's like just an art line,
yeah,
like his chest
yeah,
has lines. Like I don't
yeah.
know if that's actually
Yeah,
black on
that's
the.
true. It might just be part of the like the detail or the shading of like his head.
Mhm.
I can relate. I do think I was surprised by the sort of layout of the black and blue gloves where it does kind of switch back and forth rather than just being a solid color to fingerless like the yellow gloves are. But it didn't really bother me too much, and I think it's because I like the fingerless gloves being added. I like keeping that as part of Invincible's look that I love the way the new suit looks, even though the color kind of jumping back and forth on the gloves is a little bit odd. I think it looks great, and
Yeah,
I love the fingerless
I think
edition.
it is an interesting choice, like, going between the 2.
Yeah,
There's not a huge difference. It is literally just it's fingerless and then the black on the fist. I kind of agree that it's a little busy, but because it's technically 3 colors. It's skin tone, black, then blue, as opposed to all just blue like we got in the comic.
yeah.
I don't know.
I do kind of like though on the blue part
There it is.
comes up onto like the top of the back of the hand a little bit. Like it looks like there's almost like a rectangle shape kind of poking above it. Similar to I want to say like the Superman New 52, like the
mm,
sleeves I think came across the hand a little bit. And
Yeah.
I like that detail. I think it gives it a little bit of more shape rather than it just looking like wristbands or whatever. But yeah, that to me that's a small detail that doesn't really detract from the suit looking great in all black and blue with the fingerless.
Indeed.
yeah.
Hmm.
I agree. The little blue, or I like the fingerless. I'm not sure I want to see it in motion. Again, I agree with you
Yeah,
guys as far as the black, blue, black. But I do like keeping it fingerless. I wonder if it was a decision that had to do with seeing it in motion. You know what I mean? If his
yeah,
hands, or if there's too much black against his chest, or like too much of one color or something, you
yeah,
can't see his hands, especially if it's from you know, what do you call that? Not quite elbow, but to your fingertips. If it's all solid,
yeah.
one solid color, maybe
Mm,
it wouldn't track
Forearm,
as
bet
yeah,
well.
you it could have been something along like because his pants are blue as well, so like his glove could have been blending in with his pants
yeah.
like
I wonder
at
if
that
it was.
angle, so it breaks it up a little bit.
Yeah,
Well, you know what? I had questions, so I asked Robert Kirkman at the Conversation with Robert Kirkman
you
panel.
did.
So I'm gonna play that clip right now.
If it's super, hold on, Ryan. It's okay. It's okay. This is Ryan, last name unknown, from the Invincible panel. Or, sorry, the Invincible podcast.
What's up?
Hey,
How you doing? Blue, black blue suit looks great.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you talk a bit about any conversations or iterations that you and Corey had about making changes to it? 'Cause I noticed a couple of changes to the costume.
I mean, there was a wide array of options that came from Sean O'Neill and Bill Hong, who's our new art director. There's some things and some bits and bops and stuff, but for the most part, it was the iconic costume from the comic. But there'd be a little flourish on the toe or something on the knee, like the little piece of the gloves. And at the end of the day, Corey and I decided that it would be best to try to keep it as close to what it was in the comics as possible, but we love the update to the gloves. It makes it look a little bit more modern, a little bit more sleek. And it also maintains the fingerless glove aspect of the blue and yellow costume, which was a big difference in the blue and black costume, because it was a full glove for the blue and black costume. So there are tons of options. That's one of the cool things about animation. We have this amazing art team that is giving us like 5, 6, 7, sometimes 8 iterations of various different things, because they're used to shows where people are like, nah, give me something else, give me something else, give me something else. So they're always like, here.
Yeah.
And Corey and I are like, gosh, these guys are working so hard. Like, just give us 2 options. We pick one of them. Like, you don't have to do all this. But it's an embarrassment of riches, because they're always coming up with amazing stuff.
Very cool. Thanks, man.
So yeah, we tried a costume that was purple and green, and we had one that was polka dots.
So as you could see, he was just kind of joking about how, like, there was a ton of iterations. And I know in a previous interview, it might have been that Variety one, he also mentioned it. Like, they do a ton of iterations. It's not like they're like, yeah, let's just give them black gloves and make it fingerless and go on. They see this multiple times. They know what it's gonna do when it comes to motion and everything like that. So when it comes down to it. I trust him. I'm sure it'll be awesome, and it looks great. So that's cool.
Yeah.
After that, I got to go to the Eisner Awards, which was pretty cool, I guess. It was very, very long. It was I would say it was as cool as watching the Oscars in its entirety without getting up and like just sitting
Doesn't
there.
that sounds less cool than when you
Say no
started.
more. I think that's the point he was trying to make.
Yeah, so like that definitely had its moments. There were some really funny bits. There were some cool like celebrities like up there and everything. But I will say though, the whole thing was worth it for freaking Daniel Warren Johnson, man. Like, so he won multiple times. The first one he won, and now again, this is the guy that has been the only writer to like bring me to tears when reading his books. And he goes up there and he's accepting his award for Transformers, and he starts talking, and he just manages to casually talk about his mom and him growing up and drawing Transformers, um, being a little kid and not getting it right and wanting to do a better job. And he's like, because back then you didn't have anything to like trace. Like he was trying to trace, he was trying to pause the movie and draw Optimus and everything, and he couldn't do a good job. And he was like really upset and went to his mom and told her that like he can't draw Optimus, and it really bothered him. And his mom's like, well, here, let me, I'll draw him. And she drew him, and he's like, and to this day it is the worst Optimus Prime I've ever seen. And it's like, how does this guy like make me tear up when he's giving a freaking acceptance speech for Transformers? And
He's got the stuff. He's got the
he
stuff.
does, man. He's great. He's such an awesome guy. So going to being able to say I went to that was pretty cool. I mean, it was all right. But other than that, meeting EJ Sue was really cool. The original artist for Tech Jacket and creator.
Oh,
Got to
cool.
do a little get a sketch
Very
card
cool.
from him, which was great. And then otherwise, hanging out with Mitch Krasson was a lot of fun. Got to play the Invincible board game with him. Go see Deadpool. Um, and get a photo in front of the Invincible banner. That's the wrap that's on the train that goes through San Diego.
Oh, cool.
So that was my trip to San Diego Comic-Con. Always a great time. Always a blast. And then it was a 1.5 day turnaround before I flew back home. Slept once, woke up, and TJ and I drove to Indianapolis. So we were lucky enough to, be invited to work alongside Skybound at their booth at GenCon, a board game convention in Indianapolis that I have been wanting to go to for years and years and years. Huge board game fan, both of us are, and so we were very excited to do this. You might know where this is going, but we drove
Tell
to
us, Ryan.
We
Tell
drove
us where it's going, please.
we drove to Indianapolis. Had our first day at the convention, and it was pretty cool. I mean, TJ, all right, I got COVID while I was there, and we had to leave early, which was absolutely.
You got COVID while you were in San Diego and had it.
Yeah,
And then
so
brought it home, and then we
Yeah.
drove 9 hours in a car together.
Yeah, so it was probably the worst day of my life. It was pretty bad. But apart from that, we worked one day at Gen Con, which, getting to go to the Direwolf booth, see the huge Invincible the board game display that they had, which was huge. They had a massive room as well. Got to meet up with Nick Malden, who's a listener of the podcast who, has written in, who literally wrote to us this time last year after Gen Con to say, hey, I play tested the Invincible board game. This is what it's like, and got to tell us early impressions of it. Got to meet him, and he got to go play it again and everything. Like, it was just a really cool thing to meet him. And he actually wrote in here. He said, we just got done with our playthrough. We played through the Flaxon episode again, and I got to chat with the designer a little bit. He's a really cool guy, big fan of the comics, and he told me he actually started creating the game before the show was even released. He said the biggest change from the initial demo is the difficulty, because there was a stark difference between the outcome for newbies and experienced players, which makes a ton of sense. I got no juicy details about a season 2 scenarios or character expansions, but I did grill him. Looks like they're seeing how sales do on the initial first set. Fingers crossed. So thanks, Nick.
Nice.
Go out and buy it.
Yes, please. It's so good. We'll hopefully
is
do
so
some
much
more
fun.
playthroughs videos. So yeah, getting to, work with the guys at Skybound. One of which was Ben, who gave me and Wyatt the tour of the Skybound offices, which is really cool. Getting to hang out with them, learn a bunch of the Skybound tabletop games. TJ and I spent the whole day demoing Contrabanter at a table and just talking to people, and people would walk up and be like, "Hey, want to check this game out?" And we'd like play.
I'm an
Contrabanter.
expert at this game now. An expert.
And listen, if you're listening to the
so good at
podcast
it.
and you got home and you got sick, you can thank Ryan.
I will say. So that whole day I was feeling a little off, but it wasn't too bad. But then by the end of the day, I'm like, I'm seeing everyone coming home from San Diego with COVID. Like literally, like everybody was coming home, and I was like, oh my
The
god,
artists, writers,
what if it's
celebrities.
this? So I'm like, guys, I need to go take a test because I'm not going to just pretend it's not. So went, took a test. Fuck, it's positive. And then it was like, all right,
we
it
came
felt
home.
absolutely awful. And it was like, TJ, we got to go. Like,
Yeah, the
this is the right thing
next
to do.
morning we stayed the night there in the hotel. The next morning we drove back home. We didn't want to get anybody else sick, obviously, and even myself. I mean, obviously hadn't tested positive yet, but I had spent the entire day with Ryan. We drove down, like we were in the same hotel room, so safe to say that I probably had it, which, spoiler alert, 2 days or the next day I tested positive. I got it as well. So a fun little souvenir he brought me from San Diego.
Yeah. Thankfully, the guys at Skybound were able to find replacements for us and get some help for the booth.
Yeah.
I did hear that it absolutely ravaged Gen Con too. I have seen things online about this being the worst year for COVID in history. Like lately, it's been worse than normal. So keep an eye out there, folks, especially at conventions like this. I dodged it for 4 years, and it came at the absolute worst time. Like I felt so bad. It felt awful.
And school's starting up.
Yeah, guys.
So all you teachers and students out there, can't wait. Wyatt's a teacher.
Yeah.
Wyatt's wife is a teacher.
Yeah.
Wyatt has a child that goes to school.
Yep.
Ryan's wife is a teacher.
Oh yeah.
Last thing though, Invincible wise at Gen Con, I mean, apart from getting to check out a bunch of cool board games and everything like that, and bring some home, they did have like right before the convention, they announced Invincible dice. So this is just a dice set that are all Invincible themed. So yeah,
I got one
it's a
too.
convention exclusive just for Gen Con. So yeah, there's these little dice of all different sides. So like for example, I'll show just the D6 here. So here's the D6 and it has a bloody mark inside.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, I'm gonna buy those now.
So of course,
those are so cool.
Yeah, you got all the different sizes, all of which with the bloody mark head in it.
And not Invincible related, but Ryan's a big fan of a game called Marvel United by a board game company named Simon. And he did the Kickstarter for it, got like every Marvel expansion, like got everything. Super fun game, like really, really fun. They're doing DC. So I went, and they're doing a Kickstarter for that, and I went on Kickstarter and I got like everything for that. So cannot wait for that to come too. So I got that.
We got to teach Bill. We got to teach TJ how to paint. Good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
It's fun.
Man. So that was Gen Con. I'm hoping to go again and have a little bit of a longer experience. But otherwise, that was that. After Gen Con, we had one thing that came out was a discussing film article where Robert Kirkman says he could see the show going for 7 to 8 seasons, something we've talked about at length. I think that would be perfect. Yep, aim for that 8 and you can perfectly tie it up in 7 if you needed to, but I think 8 would be ideal. There was also Ed Boon, creator of Mortal Kombat, sent out a Twitter poll that was asking who you'd like to see as future cameo fighters, which are the fighters that you kind of call in during the game.
Yeah.
There were 4 different characters, 2 of which were Mortal Kombat related. The other one was Chucky, and then the 4th one was Invincible. This poll ended, and Invincible won with 38%.
Wow.
Chucky came in close second with 34%. I think Chucky would be awesome. That would be
I
a
would
great
never,
cameo.
ever play Mortal Kombat ever again.
But man, just even putting that idea out there, like, yeah,
Yeah.
you'd be able to do these like team up with Omni-Man and Invincible.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right.
Mhm.
Now we get to see if Ed Boon respects democracy. You know, the vote
Right? The
happened.
vote, I mean,
So now we better get him
yeah,
as the cameo
that's
character.
right. And one of the final things here is there was a really awesome GQ interview with J.K. Simmons where he talks about every like major role he's ever been in, and it gets to Invincible, and he talks at length for about Invincible. He talks about how he at first read for someone else and then came back and actually, was like really impressed with the script and got asked to read for Nolan. Talked about riding his bike to the studio to record with Steven and Sandra Oh, and how he didn't really expect this level of success and how
Yeah.
like people come up to him to talk about Invincible as much as anything else that he does. This is J. Jonah Jameson. You know what I mean? Like this guy,
Yeah.
is
Mhm.
Whiplash, Oscar award-winning actor, and people come up to talk to him about Omni-Man. Like, hell yeah, guys, you did it.
Yeah.
They did the thing.
So cool.
Um,
And I want to say I want to say that's come out before, that maybe he read for someone else before, right? Or I don't know if it has,
that
or have we
sounds
talked about that?
so familiar, and I didn't
Yeah.
go on it because I couldn't remember who it was. Do you guys remember who it was that he had read for?
I don't know
don't-
that they ever revealed who he read for. I thought that had just been revealed, that he had read for someone else. I would guess like Cecil. I could see them approaching him being like, we need a character that is a little older, that is very intense, that is
I
like
thought
in charge, and I could see them asking J.K. Simmons for that, but him wanting something a little bit more, main character of the show.
he said that they asked him to come in for Omni-Man though, and he even said he's like literally the studio was within walking distance, or no, he's like a bike ride away, like it's right around the corner. So I just biked in, which I thought was kind of funny.
It starts with him
Yeah.
saying that they had originally asked him to read for someone else, and then he later he passed on it, but he liked the script, and then they later came back with, well, what about this character Nolan? And he
Hmm.
yeah.
Wonder who it was.
Yeah, I feel like it'd have to be Cecil. It has to be
I feel
someone
like
season 1.
Cecil or
Definitely.
Damien Darkblood. Like, I could see
Damien.
either of those being ones that you would go, J.K. Simmons would be great for this.
I
Yeah.
could see
Yeah.
Damien too, you're right. Huh. I
Yeah.
wonder if that's out there. We'll have to search. That might be public.
Yeah. When he comes on the show eventually, we'll ask him.
Yeah.
When J.K. Simmons is on the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, right. Again, we've talked about it. As far as having anyone from the show on here, he'd be the one that I'd be most nervous about.
Yeah.
We have
All
a
of our
few
voices would be shaking
we have
and we'd be
no,
reading
we have a
our
few
script.
unread emails from him that we haven't gotten to yet because we're still scheduling out like all the other voice actors that we have.
Oh,
Yeah.
We'll get to him eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then lastly, before our issue spotlight, there's been a handful of updates to the Guard and the Globe game. If you guys are still playing, we still are. There's been the addition of the PvP mode, which I know they're still working on. They just did some updates to it. They're still tweaking that to make sure that that's working properly. They did a whole Thula event. Again, this is one of those
Yeah.
things. It's like, as a fun, simple, Invincible in my pocket game, there's a Thula event. Like, who'd have thought? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, this
Mhm.
is a thing. Um, yeah, and just today they've done another update, making it so you see stats after every battle and you could see who performed really well, which is a neat little way to be like, who on my team who is always on the bottom? Maybe
Yeah.
we should swap
Who's the
that
weak
person
link?
out. Exactly,
Yeah.
which is kind of neat. So that's still going strong. Still playing that. Yeah, we'll leave it there. Before we get to our issue spotlight, though, I'll remind everybody that you can email us to be a part of the show. You can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all that good stuff. TikTok, check us out there. And we have to talk more about our next episode because I want folks to keep writing in. We have a couple of them banked with your predictions for future episode titles
Mm-hmm.
because we got to do that. I like the idea of that episode and trying to guess
Yeah.
what we think will be future episode titles. So look forward to that. For now, let's go into our issue spotlight. So, TJ, can you explain the issue spotlight while I pull it up?
Sure. The issue spotlight is something that we do to it's kind of our way of going over the comic series without doing a full reread. And it's very sporadic. We each of us, each episode picks a different issue, and it's a random issue, whichever issue stands out to us that we want to go over, and then none of the rest of us don't know what the person picked, and then we go over the issue and kind of remember what happened, and then we're like, oh yeah, that was cool, and this is and then we fall in love with Invincible all over again. However, there's 4 of us, but every 5th time that we do an issue spotlight, we reach out to one of you, or you reach out to us and give us your own issue spotlight, or a fan spotlight, I guess you can call it. And this week, or this month, or this episode, it was our good friend and San Diego Comic-Con companion of Ryan's.
That's right.
And my mortal enemy, Mitch Krasson.
That's right. So Mitch Krasson wrote in with this one, and shocking to everyone, this is not an issue with dinosaurs in it.
Dude, I as soon as you told me he was doing it, I was like, 0 chance in my mind, like, that it's not dinosaurs. It is 100% going to be dinosaurs, and it wasn't. So
it is not.
Surprised me.
So this comes from Mitch Krasson. Mitch says, "Hey friends, writing in with an issue spotlight for whenever the next episode is. I was recently thinking about issue 104, aka The Redemption of Angstrom. This issue is primarily centered around 2 conflicts, the first of which is Eve talking Angstrom off a cliff. He's been such a formidable force for most of the series, and we have a certain expectation for what to expect when he shows up in the issue. But when Eve brings up Rex to jolt a sense of guilt through Angstrom, it's such a cool and powerful scene. He literally surrenders. Absolutely wild and super cool to see. Granted, his fate a little later is a bit different, lol.
Mm-hmm.
There's and there's also Cannibal Mark. He literally exists to prove the point Angstrom makes that he's seen a lot of corruptible and evil marks, but somehow ours turns out the way he is. Such a fun mini plotline. Would love to see what you all think of this one. It's a cool one in the grand scheme of things, and fun to see an end to the Angstrom arc we just started in the show. Mitch."
So, talking about like Cannibal Mark too, this is the type of issue where, of course, I want the animated show to go forever, but especially because of things like this, I want the season 2 finale to be as far away from this inevitable episode as possible, so that people can look back from like we're in the middle of episode or season 7, and then fucking Cannibal Mark shows up again, and you're like, oh shit, fucking yeah.
Well, not just that, we're gonna see this Mark show up at the end of the Invincible War when he first strands them all there, you know, and so keep having we just got to see this dimension in the show, this desert dimension, and we're gonna see it for seasons and years to come. Like, that's such a cool thing. So it is. Mitch was right. This is such a fun time to revisit this issue. Like, seeing this is the issue in which Angstrom realizes, oh, I got some wires crossed, and he even said like that to Mark, and Mark's like, wires crossed? Like,
And it's cool because it is very much like that scene of Angstrom in their house sending Mark through like portals and stuff like that is like them essentially doing a callback to when he does that with Debbie, of what we just saw in season 2. And it's like the things that Debbie is trying to get through to Angstrom in season 2, which we really got more of in the show than we did in the comic, is what Eve is eventually able to do, of like really convincing him to see things from another perspective. And the Cannibal Mark thing is such a like fun, crazy turn in the episode. It's funny too that it was like a couple of weeks ago, I saw on the Invincible subreddit where they had posted the pictures of that scene where he goes and sees Cannibal Mark, and the Cannibal Mark is explaining like when they started eating each other, and he starts talking about how like the first guy, it's just like he was just the worst. I mean, we're all bad, but he's the worst. And so the Reddit post was like, so which one do you think is the worst? And it was showing all of the Invincible War marks and being like, let's try to figure out which one was eaten first. Cool. And they were like analyzing like which corpse on the ground looked the oldest.
No way, really?
Which one they thought was the worst. I'll have to find the Reddit post and send it to you guys. But yeah, it was very much them trying to analyze like which mark was the worst mark out of all of them.
Yeah.
Now, do you think they meant like the worst as in the most evil or like just he's like he's so annoying.
Which means he was
Yeah.
probably
he's
the
just
least evil, right?
yeah, he looks like the most annoying. Probably
He was
That's
following
what I
them
was-
around, being like, "Guys, I think we really did make a mistake. We should really turn things around." They're just
Yeah.
like, "Shut up!"
up.
You're the worst.
Yeah, we get Mohawk Mark showing up and helping and everything, which was cool to see him again, or at least get the real introduction to him as opposed to just seeing him
Yeah.
in the background previously in the
Mhm.
Invincible War. But then, yeah, just that moment, and I had forgotten about this till like kind of rereading it before this, where she's uh, where it's just a panel of Eve that says, "You killed my boyfriend," and Angstrom like
Yeah.
he's like, "Not yet, I haven't," and she's
Yeah.
like, "No, not Mark, my ex-boyfriend Rex," and she like just talks about how he was such a huge part of her life and she never got to talk to him and she'll never talk to him again.
Yeah.
And he took that from her. Like, and then she's like, "And you know what I didn't do? I didn't devote my life to making you pay for that." Think about how much you
Man.
could have think about how much you could have done if you had not been, wasting your life and your intelligence. What were you gonna do? Didn't you have something more important to do? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh damn, like, oh, I cannot wait. That is such a good.
Eve is a high school student right now in the show,
Yeah, man.
and she's dropping that kind of logic
Yeah.
onto
Yeah.
somebody. Man, oh
Yeah.
man,
Can't wait. And then you know, uh surrendering, like Mitch says, like literally getting to the point where he just surrendered as he's like, "All right, take me in." And then Mohawk Mark taking him away and through the portal, and the issue ending with that tease of, Robot being like, "This could take 15 years to be able to develop the technology to find him again. Do you really
Mhm.
you sure you want to go down that path?" Which is literally what Eve just convinced Angstrom
Yeah.
Mhm.
of doing. Like, you
Yep.
really want to obsess over this? Ah,
Yeah.
come on.
I mean,
What did you?
how long did it take them to get the technology to go back and get Mark?
They
When
said 15
Angstrom
years.
20.
was it only 15? I thought it was longer than
When
that.
Mark was stranded in that dimension?
Yeah. Was it
Yeah.
15?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what
they
Robot says.
seemed
Because Mark's
Yeah.
like, "You've done it before," and he's like, "As far as I recall, you said that took us 15 years to find you, that you were stranded in
Yeah.
that dimension for 15 years."
they seemed
Um,
older.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm pretty
Okay.
sure it was 15. But yeah, that's that. Issue 104. Thank you, Mitch, for sending in your issue spotlight. I think we
Yeah.
might already have a guest spotlight signed up, or a guest issue spotlight. But even if not, go ahead and send one in if you want. We'll always keep them on file so we can pull them out every 5 episodes of this podcast.
Does that mean I'm next? Am I next for issue
Guys,
spotlight?
that means Wyatt's next.
I'm next. Okay.
I do
Gotta
have
start
to
picking
put 104 in the document
yeah.
here. Done.
This is the third round, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. This is
Yeah.
the third time. Wow.
Yeah.
We're flying through this.
Yeah.
We really are.
So
we,
at this
we do record a lot of episodes.
I was just thinking to myself that eventually when we get to the point where we've done all of the issues, I can probably predict which issue will be the last one
Yeah.
that we all have to finally do
That
an
would be
issue
really
spotlight on. And we just don't do that one. We're just like, and there's that one that's still there. And
So-
it happened.
So not counting returns or anything, we have
Yeah.
129 issues to go, guys.
Oh, we'll be done with that in no time.
Yep. So let's see. That's divided by 5. We each have to review at least 25 more. You got it? So pick which ones you want now.
Done.
Yeah, that's like 2 hardcovers. All right.
I didn't like that, Ryan. I didn't like that at all.
You like that?
I thought we were doing good.
Bill
and
just
you
saw his like mortality.
Yeah, I did. I'm having existential dread now. You found a way to do it. You found a new way to do it.
It was like, we're doing great. We're doing great.
It was bad enough that TJ was like, "Oh, it's only 15 years. They look so old." And I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? 15 years ago, I remember where I was, and I look as old as like Eve looked." Or
Oh yeah.
didn't Bulletproof have like gray hair and stuff and
Yeah.
was like balding?
I think when I joined the podcast a little over a year ago, I wasn't this gray in the beard. So
See what we do to you? No, you know what that was? That was season 2. That's what
Yeah,
season 2
true.
did to you.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Releasing those episodes. Oh man. All right, so that does it. That does it for our summer convention wrap up. I think we've got a very exciting fall ahead of us.
Yeah.
We do. And Q4 is going to be very big for Invincible fans.
Yeah.
Big.
There'll be a lot of news, a lot of announcements in Q4. So
yeah, it's gonna be good. So be sure to keep writing into the podcast, theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. And we will see you guys on the other side. Thank you all for listening. Bye now.
goodbye.
Bye.
If we did all 144 episodes and we did one per month, we would have to continue the Invincible podcast for another
No.
11 years.
Yes.
Oh, nice. I like it.
How many years?
11.
How many years?
11
years?
Guys,
Yeah.
we will be doing Issue Spotlight after the animated series is over.